The oceans, being literally fluid, actually can be pulled toward the moon, and this is what creates the tide. The moon's here, it's pulling on the ocean at the top of the Earth, creating a high tide on the top. And on the bottom, another high tide is created because the Earth itself is pulled toward the moon, even though the oceans down here have less gravitational pull exerted on them, being farthest away from the moon. So on the top and bottom, you have high tide because of the tidal bulges, and on the sides that are at right angles to the moon, you have low tide because the oceans stretch thin over the surface of the Earth. Pretty crazy, huh?
This is because behind the celestial sphere there is a magnetically levitating octahedron with 4 base corners that project into the oceans at 90 degrees to each other to form the equatorial equilibrium points. These 4 equilibrium equatorial points that are located on 4 specific points in the ocean along the equator at 90 degrees to each other. There's 2 stable equilibrium points and there's 2 unstable ones.
Okay, what you have here is a diagram that I created in Illustrator, and I am helping you understand the quadrupole at the pillars of the octahedron in heaven. And what we have here is 4 equilibrium points, 2 stable and 2 unstable, that are opposite each other, just how a quadrupole works in magnetism. They're opposite each other. The dipoles are opposite each other. And so you saw my previous video where I explained to you how we're having convergence of the etheric or electromagnetic energy converging. You have a convergence at the top, and then we have a divergence on the left and the right. Now the divergence indicates that the ether or the magnetism is coming from the corner and diverging outward. Like if you take this right side right there, those blue lines, they're going outward like that. They're diverging. Okay, what the divergence does, it creates a lower tide because it's pushing down more. Okay, that's a divergence. We have a divergence at a stable equal. That's why it's stable. You know, it's like unstable versus stable. Within the quadrupole, you have to understand that a stable point is kind of like you put a ball inside of a bowl, and the ball just goes right to the bottom. It doesn't move anywhere. It's stable. As opposed to an unstable point, where you put the ball on top of a bigger ball or a bowl, and it's going to fall right off. So that's happening with the unstable point, one at negative 14.7 longitude, just west of Africa. And the unstable point is going to create a higher water level, higher tide. We have the convergence over here at the corner. And so we have these blue lines on the left are going inward. They're both, and the right, they're going inward like that, and they're converging like that. Okay, that's a convergence. The convergence is at the unstable points. There's one here at 165.3 longitude, unstable, northeast of Africa. Okay, and then we have the stable one here, negative 104.7, west of South America, and of course the other one I mentioned before, the divergence point just southeast of India. And so those 2 are paired with the other pair, the convergence pairs versus the divergence pairs. And so we have actually 2 different types of tides. We have spring tide and neap tide. Now, spring tide does not mean the time of the year. It just means that spring, like the water is springing, right? Or neap tide. Spring tide is sun and moon are opposite. They have higher highs and lower lows in the water. Neap tide, sun and moon are quarter, like a first quarter or third quarter moon, and it evens out the tides. Okay, so for instance, like a spring tide. Sun and moon are opposite, or not only opposite, but they can be a new moon too. So right now I have moon and sun at each quadrant basically. So the top one we have the sun and the moon, the sun on the bottom and the moon on the top. That's a new moon like that. All right. Now, if the sun is here on the top and the moon here is here on the bottom like that, that's a full moon. That's still a spring tide. Either case like that. If it's over, if the sun and moon are over the convergence area, well, it doesn't matter if it's new or full because they're both going to be covering the convergence area like that. What it's going to do, it's going to make higher tides for the unstable point. Higher. They're going to be higher areas because that etheric electromagnetic pressure that's coming up and converging like that is actually going to create less pressure at the ground level because there's an obstacle here and the force is going upward, inward like that. So it's creating less pressure and higher tides like that. Same over here in the bottom during a full moon. Same occurrence. Now if we have a neap tide, let's say we have moon over here and the sun over here. Now that everything is going counterclockwise. The sun is faster than the moon. 24 hours, 50 minutes for the moon, and 24 hours for the sun. And so, let's see. This would be a waxing crescent over here in the moon. The moon is at the divergence area, that divergence point, and so we have these blue lines that are coming out from the pillar, from the magnetic dipole over there. They're coming out like that. They're diverging and they're pushing. Okay, so at the ground level, we have low tides, right? But because we have this energy, this etheric push going the opposite direction, as opposed to over here, right? It's going the opposite direction. The moon or the sun act as I want to say like a buffer, basically, and so it's going to not push down as much when there's something obstructing it because of the direction of the force. That's how it's working like that. So a moon over this area, divergent area, is not going to make the lows that low. It's blocking some of the push force out like that. You understand? Yeah, I think you guys get it. Same thing if you have the sun over here at the top and the moon over here during that would be a waning crescent. They're both going counterclockwise. And so the same thing, over here, you have the pressure going to the left like that at this stable point. But the moon, or the sun for that matter, but the moon is going to be affecting more because it's closer to the ground, right? It's like over 2 times more potent than the sun as far as tides go. And so that's why that's going to happen. It's going to block some of that push. You understand? Yeah, I think you guys get it. Okay, here in Lightwave, I show you a top-down view. Let's get that one right there. Top-down view, I have my little sun light animation funnel type thing. On one side we have the sun, and the other side we have the actual return Gegenschein light like that. So if I zoom in like that, you see on the right side that onion shape over there. Within that onion shape, that's where the sun is over there like that. Okay. All right, and also look at the top screen over there. That tiny little half sphere. It's actually a little bit more than half. See, the sun and the moon were formed by the primer fields in the center. Now, keep in mind, now that we understand that the southern side of the octahedron is hard. It's metal. That's where the octahedrites come from, with the Widmanstatten patterns. Keep in mind that within the primer field area, I call them confinement domes. And Dave LaPointe talks about that too. Confinement domes that were created. That's how the moon and the sun were created. They're not full spheres like that. They're only half. And so because there's no opening at the southern tip of the octahedron, they both had to exit the northern side, the apex. And so that's what I believe happened. Anyway, the sun was on the northern bowl of the 2 inverted bowls, and then the moon was on the southern bowl. And I told you before, there's these confinement domes within the bulbs like that. So initially the sun shot up through the north apex, and then the moon had to, in order for the moon to fit through the hole, the two holes actually of the bulbs, the edges had to probably confine themselves, like constrict themselves like that, and go through like that. And so that's how I believe the moon was formed. But anyway, going back to the animation, I made the velocity of the moon a little bit slower than the sun. Obviously, I sped it up. I didn't want to take forever. So now you see right there at the top there, the moon and the sun are virtually right there. That's a new moon like that. So that's how that's happening, guys. Okay, and then you can do a quarter moon as well. Just simply play it and wait like that. Okay, there's a quarter moon like that. Right over there, there's the moon, and there's the sun. And so we have the octahedron over here with the four pillars, the quadruple pillars of the octahedron. There's no other way, guys. You can explain tides, heliocentrists. You guys, do you realize how foolish you are? How pseudo-intellectual you are? Do you realize? I'm talking to these clowns that I've dealt with before. Rhetoric, and what's that other guy? Steve McRae, and what's the other idiot? Sean Hoffer. Is soundly, completely duped, completely fooled. You cannot justify or understand or try to describe how the actual opposite side of the Earth is being affected by the moon during tides. It doesn't work that way. Sorry, chumps, it doesn't work that way. So basically, you have two options, you heliotards. You either get behind me, repent, show me a contrite heart, follow me, take my seal when the time comes, or kill yourself. Just get the fuck out of my Earth. Get the fuck out of my mind. You are in my mind. I am God, and you are idiots. You're fucking clowns.
One of the joys in my life that I take pleasure in is driving. I absolutely love it. The best kind of driving for me is when you're all alone in the middle of the night, you and the machine in perfect harmony. It's truly a poetic moment if you're a car guy like me. Another great thing about it is that it gives you time to yourself, away from the hassles of everyday life. Time to yourself to just think. And I have to say that, as of recently, there has been something on my mind. The question being, why God hasn't revealed himself. I mean, after all, if he's God, this should be easy to do, right? So why doesn't he do it? Is it crazy to doubt whether this question will ever be legitimately answered? I say legitimately answered, because the answers I've gotten don't seem to really answer the question.
Wants to race.
Race? That's ridiculous.
All right, come on, let's go. Let's go.
Put your window down!
He wants something.
He's probably drunk.
You're going the wrong way! What? You're going the wrong way!
He says we're going the wrong way.
Oh, he's drunk. How would he know where we're going?
Yeah, how would he know? Thank you. Thanks a lot. Terrific.
Thank you.
What a moron.
You're going in the wrong direction! You're going to kill somebody! You're going the wrong way!
What? Why?